I'll come back to that. But, another excerpt, just as I said, there's a lot, and this is on page 211. These considerations enable us to restore to the act of speaking its true physiognomy. In the first place, speech is not the sign of thought, if by this we understand a phenomenon which heralds another, as smoke betrays fire. Speech and thought would admit of this external relation only if they were both thematically given, whereas in fact they are intervolved, the sense of being held within the world, and the word being the external existence of the sense. Speech and thought are intervolved. Alright, so that's not such an alien concept, because that's exactly what his project is, right? I just said earlier that he's working against Descartes' division of mind from the body. This notion that speech and thought are intervolved, that they are one process, that we don't have thought and then the physiological act of expressing that thought, but that the two go hand in hand. This is what Merleau-Ponty is trying to tell us. This is what he's philosophizing about. He goes on, the word and speech must somehow cease to be a way of designating things or thoughts, and become the presence of that thought in the phenomenal world, and, moreover, not its clothing, but its token or its body. The word and speech must somehow cease to be a way of designating thoughts, and become the presence of that thought in the phenomenal world. Not its clothing, but its body. Like I said, I'm working my way through this, trying to appropriate this to be able to own this material for myself. Not its clothing, but its body. Again, I think that's Merleau-Ponty saying that they're not two separate things. It's not the carnal. It's not the base and insignificant body that's simply communicating that which the mind has contained within it. The two are in unison. They're syncretic, as Debbie Hawkey would say. It's a whole person process. Okay, that's page 211. Still working. 212. The process of expression, when it is successful, does not merely leave for the reader and the writer himself a kind of reminder. It brings the meaning into existence as a thing at the very heart of the text. It brings it to life in an organism of words, establishing it in the writer or the reader as a new sense organ, opening a new field or a new dimension to our experience. Wow. So the word is a new sense organ. The word is a new sense organ. Okay, so this makes a little bit of sense to me, because in preceding this chapter, he talks about how a blind man, for example, who uses a stick to make his way through the world, that the stick, after over a period of time, becomes an extension of his body, the way he senses and experiences the world. It becomes, in essence, an organ. It becomes a part of who he is and how he experiences the world. And so that's, I suppose, this idea that a word can be a new sense organ is an allusion to that that notion that we can acquire something, take up something, and use it as an extension of ourselves to experience the world. And that's what a word is, because if words have, would I say, gestural meaning? Is that the word? Is the word as a gesture that has meaning. So the physical act of speaking a word, the physical act of a word becomes a new sense organ. So acquiring new words would mean experiencing the world in new ways. Alright, just again, digesting. But that's kind of interesting. That's really interesting. This dude is smart. There is a few more excerpts. Thought is no internal thing, and does not exist independently of the world and of words. What misleads us in this connection and causes us to believe in a thought which exists for itself prior to expression is thought already constituted and expressed, which we can silently recall to ourselves, and through which we acquire the illusion of an inner life. But in reality, this supposed silence is alive with words. This inner life is an inner language. Again, he's simply articulating in more detail how it is that the body and mind are, I really like Debbie Hawkey's word, syncretism, by the way, so I'm going to use it repeatedly. It's not just now, but throughout my work, I think, or dissertation, I mean. The body is a syncretic unit. It's a unit, but even the word unit is misleading because it implies an object that is not interactive with its surroundings. It's very much connected. The body is very much connected to the world. Thought is no internal thing and does not exist independently of the world and of words. What misleads us in this connection and causes us to believe in a thought which exists for itself prior to expression is thought already constituted and expressed, which we can silently recall to ourselves, and through which we acquire the illusion of an inner life. And this goes back to what that footnote that I read earlier about authentic speech and second-order expression. Second-order expression is what is the experience that remains with us, and what misleads us to believe that thought exists prior to expression. So again, it's this experience, this play. If I had an interlocutor with whom I could attempt to play with these new ways of expressing myself, then I would be led to believe that I already had these thoughts, that they were thoughts already constituted. What I communicate with primarily is not representations or thought, but a speaking subject, with a certain style of being and with the